But one thing I did want to ask you about, well, I think it's risk. You characterize it as like risk aversion being important. I think you just said because it has a cognitive function and it can impair creativity. Am I paraphrasing correctly there?
So yeah, let me give you a little bit more of the science.
Please do, because I was really fascinated.
When we're afraid, the brain produces cortisol, stress hormone, and norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is essentially, low doses is curiosity, high doses is anxiety.
Yeah.
And the more norepinephrine in your system, so a little norepinephrine primes the brain for learning. Too much, I'm anxious, it actually blocks learning because the brain is too busy solving the problem in front of you to bother with all that, right?
Yeah.
So learning gets blocked. The more norepinephrine in your system, the part of your brain that says, am I going to find a tight link between ideas like, oh, here's this thing and here's the standard response, or am I going to take the time and find something unusual, a cool connection, outside the box thinking, divergent thinking? That's the anterior cingulate cortex, does that. And the more norepinephrine in your system, the more conservative it gets. Because if you're in a dangerous situation, right, a lot of fear, you don't want creative solutions. Give me the thing that works 100% of the time, right? Like tried, true, conservative, stay. Give me that. I don't have time for all, right? We also know that the more norepinephrine in your system, the more selfish you become. The more scared you are, protect the organism, the less you're thinking about other people, right? So that blocks empathy and wisdom. And to boot, on top of all of this, too much norepinephrine blocks flow. Right. So flow has this primary trigger. One of its main triggers is the challenge skills sweet spot. I talked about it earlier. Flow follows focus, right? That's how, when the stoat shows up, it's because all our attention is on the here and now. We pay the most attention to what we're doing, the task, when the challenge of the task slightly exceeds our skill set. You want to stretch but not snap. So too much norepinephrine, too much anxiety, you're being pushed out of that sweet spot. So it's blocking flow. And to boot, the older you get, the more you have that mindset of old, and the more you face challenges in your life that lead to stress, those two combinations over time. And remember I said our access to flow shrinks over time?
Yeah.
One of the things that happens is the challenge skill sweet spot shrinks because of allostatic load. Allostatic load is the impact of stress over time on our physiology and our psychology, and it shrinks down the challenge skills sweet spot. So this changes how you want to approach activities later in life, but it also speaks right here that like once the sweet spot starts to shrink down, any anxiety in the system is going to start blocking flow. So on top of all the other penalties, you're going to block the state of peak performance that you really need to achieve your goals later in life. So there's a huge penalty here for not training up risk aversion.